Saira.
Saira.
Just to recap what we discussed last week and continue. Swami has the last pair of questions and question and answers related to the devotee asking Swami uh, that this world is described as a city seen through a mirror, and it's all unreal. And is it the same for jnanis? And then Swami goes on to say, the jnanis do not need it because they've already reached that stage and they're in the full awareness. Then there are people who belong to the lowest category where they are not yet ready and they will not understand this concept of jnana itself. But Swami says there are individuals who are in the middle, who Swami calls middlings, and they are the ones for whom this message is. Those who are capable of grasping it and so on. And I think so we had lots of discussion about mirror and how this world is unreal and so on. I thought I will just introduce another concept of mirror, because that if you really look at that full sentence in Sanskrit, Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyama Nijantargatam, which basically says that the self is actually seeing the world as in the mirror, as a city. So it also means that this world which we face every day is actually a reflection of our own inner self. And then I think it also poses a question, how do we deal with this world then? If we think it's all unreal, then what are we to do? I think the answer lies in the analogy itself, because the mirror, if we use just to look at ourselves, even if something is not right, on our face or our clothes, we will not get agitated. We will just go about setting it right so that everything is good. So the state of mind with which we address an image which we see in the mirror is pretty calm. And the thing is, all the adjustments actually happen with us. So the same way in this world, when we look at the world and we perceive things, we should not be agitated because it's a reflection of ourselves. And even if we go about setting things right, we should know that it is ourselves that we are setting right. I thought Swami has often mentioned this analogy of mirror. Swami says the buddhi is the mirror God has given. It's a bit of a digression, but I thought I'll just introduce because those were thoughts which ran in my head over the week. So I thought I would share. Swami says buddhi is the mirror which God has granted everyone in this world. But Swami says generally we don't use this buddhi to look at ourselves. We use this mirror not to fix our problems, but we show the mirror to other people, and that is pointing out the issues as something which resides elsewhere and others have to fix it. And Swami says, so this buddhi has to be used to look at ourselves. So I thought I would just mention it because each of Swami's question or the answer has many layers of meaning, and it's a lifelong study, each of them. So I thought I would just share that, and we can move on. We'll just pause for a few seconds. If no one has any questions, we will move on. Sai. Okay, sister, please read on.
Sairam Brother Arno and the participants.
Yes.
I have a question. This is a long-standing question for me. And the thing is, Swami is telling us, and we also realize that this world is unreal. And but then why did Rama or Krishna came into the world and told those people, these are all unreal? Then what did they fight for? And what did they want to achieve? And for this mankind, what did they want to tell us throughout of those avatars? Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother, maybe I should open it up for a discussion. See, the concept of unreal itself is not understood properly. That is when we get this question, because we think these things do not exist. The world exists actually, but the problem is the world does not exist the way we think it exists. That is the fundamental problem. Like if we say, why did Swami come? If he says it's all unreal, then why did he come down? He came down to tell us that our perception is unreal. The way we see things are permanent, that is unreal. So I think it is to fix the perception of people. Because after all, Rama identifies with everyone, just the way Swami identified with each of us. So they come just to fix the perception. So when we should not think this world doesn't exist or we don't exist. That is called Shunyavada, means it is something which Buddhism propagates, which is this world it doesn't exist. But in Vedanta, which Swami speaks about, he says, no, the imagined world does not exist, but the real thing exists. So the problem is the Rama or any avatar who come down are trying to tell us how to fix our perception, how to realize actually there's a mirror and there's a world scene, but don't think the world is something different from you, but it is a reflection of you and it is just natural. So don't imagine things. I think this is the same thing which Brother Sivadas talked about. Sorry. It is the world, the way we perceive the world, that is unreal. But the world exists as a part of the divine Leela, it exists. So I hope that is my understanding, but I will open it up for others to share with their thoughts, please. Saira.
So, Sairam, brother. So my understanding also, dramas, Krishna's drama, whenever the dharma going down, then that time gods come as avatar to bring the dharma back to the normal stage, to teach them. So Lord Rama came to teach the desire, how to control the desire, what will happen if we have desire. So Lord Krishna's time, attachment. If you have ego attachment, what will happen? But all the prakriti, is Lord says, is Maya. But we all came to this world to our karma. In order to, so we have to do some karma all the time. Action we have to do all the time. But the person who knows very well about the spiritual side, or if the person has jnanam, then he will understand everything's one. Others will understand it's different. The person who knows the jnana, he will see everything one, divinity is there. Others, they will differentiate. That's what all the problems comes. So in order to, we all came as a divine sparkles, we have to go back to the divine sparkle. So we have to understand what is Maya. Without Maya, you cannot do anything. The Maya is telling us what is not reality, make us to feel like it's real. The person who knows very well, he knows the difference. So in order to do our sadhana and everything, Maya also very important, and understand what is the real and reality in order to achieve our goal. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
Sairam. Until we are in the world, we had to go through world, and the spiritual is the same as we had to handle with that, because we cannot go to the forest and do the penance or meditation there. We are in the world. We had to part on the world, and we had to do that. So we had to uplift ourselves doing the worldly matters too, though. So that there's an example with Professor Bhatia. Sir was very close to Swami. The one time Swami was asking that how's your spiritual progress going on? Then he said, I am doing little bit. I am doing that. He said. Then Swami said, you must put full strength on that and do your spiritual way too. Swami said. Then he decided, okay. Then Swami said that I have to do that spiritual way. I had to go to the spiritual sadhana more, and he thought that he is going to resign his work and go to the Sandeha to Himalaya Sandeha. Then he will do his spiritual sadhana. He don't do that. Then he gave us the resignation letter to that college, and he decided to go. In the meantime, Swami was calling for that interview for the teachers, and Swami was asking about, again, Swami asking about that, about that serious progress of the spiritual path. Then he said, Swami, I decided to go to that Zambia to do my spiritual progress, and I resigned my job. Then Swami was very angry and stern face on him and told him that if you do that, so that I am going to grant 1,000 births to your liberation, he said. And he said, don't that differential between that worldly and the spiritual, that is both together, join together. You have to work together. Worldly, you have to work hard in the worldly, and this is this way you can get the liberation. The worldly is not different from that spiritual path. So I'm said that worldly path and the spiritual path is one way, but we have to go through that real way to choose that we do our work, that offering our work to Swami, and it's turned into that spiritual path. That's I can say that. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? I don't know, Brother Arul, you will have to see if you still need any discuss this, or we can move on.
Brother, I have a point of view here for Brother Arul. All we know, come to know in this world is 1/4 of it, as we studied in another study circle, right? So what was given that we are now living in is a world. So we don't come to know everything. What is the reason? You cannot analyze it, everything in detail. So what is given, we take as a world. What Swami has said for us to practice the spiritual sadhana as a sparkle of divine to reach him. So that is what we can think of. But I understand what is Brother Arul is trying to understand. But I think that is really hard to understand in my point of view. But because we don't come to know everything. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, sister, Sairam. Brother Arul, you have anything to say?
No. Thank you. Thank you so much for everybody who shared your views on my question. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Because this was sitting in my mind and was wondering for quite some time when we are reading this Sandeha Nivarini. Then I didn't find a good opportunity to ask these questions. Probably I wanted to ask this question on a personal basis to Brother Aruno, but to put it in the study circle might be a good point, because everybody have sharing their views, that way everybody can benefit out of this, and they can solve their if they have any doubts, they can also get out of that ideas, doubts. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you. Just one last, actually, in the answer Swami has given, he has explained it. See, Swami says the Jnani sees everything as Brahman. Okay, so when the avatar comes, it doesn't come for the Jnani, because Jnani doesn't have a problem how to deal with this world. Okay, but he is coming only for the middlings so that they can become also like Jnanis. So that's my understanding. So that means the Jnanis still exist in the world and they see everything as Brahman. That experience that is the real experience which Swami Avatars wants to cultivate in all of us. So,
yes. Sairam, brother, very, very good incident happened. Dr. Narendra Reddy was explaining one day that in an interview room, Baba was saying to them that the world is Maya. Then somebody questioned Baba, so if we are all Maya, so you should be also Maya, Swami. Swami said, no, I am not Maya. I am not Maya. He reacted sharply, I am not Maya. Because, Avatar is a comprehensive God. If we know him, if we try to know him in his real perspective, he is the mover of the whole world. So if we understand his real, if we try to understand his real status, that is permanent. That is not Mithya, not Maya. So these other things, brother and everybody explained in different corners. Very good, actually, very much appreciating. And so this is temporary. What we see is temporary, and also we are not seeing the real fact. Actually, we are still seeing the snake on the rope. Actually, rope is there, but we are seeing the snake. So our vision has to be corrected. Brother explained. Our vision has to be corrected to see the rope, which is God. Actually, that's what Bhagawan explained. Sorry, thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Just to many people think Swami is saying that so that people will listen to him. So there's something wrong with the philosophy. That what we sometimes don't understand is that when Swami says I, he is not referring to his body.
Yeah.
He is referring to the Atman, because he is identified. So that's whenever anything about Swami's personal life, he'll say this body is mother. That's the way he will refer to Mother Ishvara. So that we understand the relative existence. So when Swami, that's when a Jnani or Avatar speaks, they're all identifying with the Atman and speaking, not identifying with the body and speaking. So I thought I would just highlight. Thank you very much, Brother Sivadas.
Okay, thank you.
We can move on, Sister Kalyani.
Sairam, I just thought I
Yes,
would point out this. No, I think this is one of the reasons, this is just my thinking, one of the reasons why Advaita philosophy was not told to each and everyone, because in a normal, mundane state of mind within space, when we are caught up in space and time, to understand Advaita, or even to come to a state to accept that. We are accepting it because Swami is saying it. But that's why the Dvaita Bhakti, or at least we start with Dvaita Bhakti, is so easy to anyone to practice and all that. But Swami, as Brother Aruno mentioned, for Jnanis, they don't need it. But those who are below even a state of level that they can't even understand or have any idea what Swami is saying about this Advaita philosophy. But for the middlings, but for his devotees, in his compassion, Swami wants to at least to accept this and in a slow pace at least to progress in that way. And Swami often says when about this, why he tells this Advaita philosophy, which is so difficult to understand to each and even in a I mean, any audience who cannot understand. Swami always says that if you want to go somewhere, you should know the goal. So I am telling this because this is a final goal, final truth. But until you reach there, we are like everyone else. We are going to do Dvaita Bhakti and all that. But with the understanding, the final truth is this. Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you very much.
So, Bhakta, this means that all sadhanas are included in the Vicharana Marga, the path of inquiry? Swami, yes. The teaching of the Vedanta is about who am I? And to make this inquiry, only those equipped with the 4 instruments are competent. The purpose of the 4 is to realize that the Atma is real and that all else is unreal. Also, to discriminate between Atma and all else.
So, so Swami has, Swami has talked about the 4 instruments. I don't know whether all of you remember. I don't know whether it was discussed here. So there are 4 qualifications for every sadhaka, which is called the sadhana chatushtaya. The 4 qualifications, which are considered viveka, vairagya, shat sampatti, mumukshatva. I'll just go over them. So viveka is discrimination. Vairagya is detachment. Then the shat sampatti are the 6 qualities of a disciple, which goes as the shama, dhamma, and so on. The last one is mumukshatvam, the desire for liberation, or the yearning for liberation. So Swami says, when we cultivate these 4, then we become competent. And then this lesson, this path of inquiry becomes possible. So that's what I had to say. So I will pause here and others can share your thoughts, please, Simon.
Sairam, brother, in this Vahini, page 46 in my version, actually, the 6 virtues Baba is explaining. Yes. In very short sentences, he is explaining what is Dhamma, what is Sama, Dhamma, Gun, everything is Uparati, Disiksha, everything is explaining in one sentence.
Please go ahead, brother.
46, I can read beyond, yeah. Let me see that. 46. I saw that and I thought the Kalyani can go, I thought. Okay, let others discuss until I find it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So until that finding the
I
can go through something. I like the Visarna marker. So Brother Aror and so many other people, they ask the questions on behalf of other people, and same time we also can go through more and more. So Visara Marka is very, very important. Every day you have to ask, who am I? Who am I? Whether I'm doing this one, whether it's going to be benefit for me. Am I going the right path? So you have to ask this question every single day. So whether it's going to lead me to the right path before doing anything. So the Visara Marka is very important. And discriminate. You have to understand that discriminate also what is real and what is not real. So the real is only the Atma. Atma is the one is going to be forever, in future, past, current. So others all subjects to decay or subject to will be destroyed. So we have to have the faith on the main Atma. So I am the Atma. So I am not the body. So that Visarana Marka is very, very important.
Okay. Saira, I found out that I will read of, I think not everything here. He's saying that attachment to the sense objects can be removed by control of the senses, sama. That is sama, control of the senses. Control of the outer senses, dhamma. Control of the mind by withdrawal of the senses, uparati. Forbearance, titiksa. By developing purity, self-control, withdrawal of desires, and the ability to suffer, he said, so he only explained the four actually in that place. But after that, Siratha, actually Siratha, we discussed, sister, we discussed already that Manibhashyam explained it. So Shraddha is faith in the scriptures. Faith in the scriptures, no? That is the Shraddha. And Samadhana is, according to Baba in the Sutra Vahini, Samadhana is faith in the scripture and the Guru are one and the same. Baba explained in the Sutra Vahini. We have to have the faith that what Guru is saying is what Shastra is saying. So the Guru and the Shastra saying the one and the same thing. That faith is called Samadhana, according to Baba's explanation in the Sutra Vahini, I still remember clearly. So these are the six Samagunadi Sambat, Baba saying that, yeah, 6 virtues. Thank you, Saira. So unless we have mastered, but that's what Vimaneshan is concerned. Unless we have mastered this Viveka and Vairagya and Dhammagunadi Sambat and Moksha, desire for liberation, working for liberation. Unless we have this, we cannot understand this what the world is unreal and we are real. That's what the Vimaneshan was telling. We cannot simply understand because we need that qualification to understand. So we have to develop that all, say, forbearance. See, it's very difficult to have forbearance, no? So that's what it is meant here. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
So I like to mention about the Siratha too. Siratha, if you want to study something, any even worldly thing, you have to have Siratha. That means you have to have love and you have to have determination that I will pass the exam. So same thing here too, in the spiritual side, you have to have the love and determination to achieve the goal.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. So if everyone is fine with it, we can move on. If there, Swami has made a statement. So basically, we have to work on cultivating these qualifications to become competent and pursue the vichara path of inquiry with more success, is what we understand. If there are no questions or comments, we could move on to the next pair side.
Bhakta, how is that to be realized, Swami? By inquiring into the nature of the Atma. First, they do all varieties of sadhana, and finally enter upon this. While a child, they teach you A, B, C, D, isn't it? Even MA and BA curricula consists of the ABCD and their permutations and combinations. But to realize this fact, one has to complete one's studies. The Shastras are based on Akshara, meaning both letter and the imperishable. All Margas are based on the Vichara Marga.
So I think Swami is going on to explain this further, that all the Margas actually are part of Vichara Marga. And he says initially we have to do all varieties of sadhana, japa, dapa, prayer, all that. Everything falls under ultimately the one marga, which is Vichara Marga, Swami says. And the initial sadhanas are like the ABCD, which slowly and gradually make us understand the higher levels of knowledge, is what Swami says. So with those, I will turn it over to all the participants to share your thoughts, comments, please. Saira.
Sairam, here I'm just going to share what I have learned from, my daughter who once asked me, what is Atma, Mom? So I was trying to, of course, in my own way, Atma is this and all of those things. He said, how about Atma is, as Swami has said, A, B, C, D. So maybe I'm at the level of A. So I understood very well. Atma has love, peace, truth. And our personality, what our job is, how we have to meditate in the sense, inquiry, or ask ourselves that how I can align my personality with that Atma who is that pure, who is so loving, always think about love. So it's like, think about Atma who has a character, and you as a personality has a character, and how you can keep aligning until you reach to the point where you don't see any difference. That's how she explained, where I was not able to explain. So I understood very well, and that's how I see myself doing that. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, sister. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
Sairam, when you look at the question and the answer provided by Swami in this particular question and answers, Swami explains us to realize this fact, one has to complete one's studies. When we look at the studies, that studies is not a 1 year or 2 year studies. It's an extensive studies, and we have to, not only we have to study, we also have to practice, and we have to live in it. So, so even Swami indicated only those equipped with the 4 instruments, but within the 4 instruments, there are so many different part of curricula, they have put it in that within the 4 instruments. So when we look at all these instruments with the subdivision, and not only studying, we have to understand thoroughly, and we have to practice those, whatever the advices or whatever the way we can achieve all the jnanis and the Swami, including Swami, they have provided us. So in my question, in this particular thing, that's why all say that we may not even achieve our goal maybe in one birth. It could take several births to go through these, maybe analogies, or to understand and get all these things into our, maybe one birth may not even enough. we have to go through several births, and we are not sure whether we will take human birth next time. So is there anything, I'm, even if we work harder and harder on this one, and maybe we all have to realize that it may not be fruitful in one birth, and we have to keep on trying through several births. So is that correct? Or whether we can expedite this process, and even a couple of other discussions. I learned that maybe it's brother Rajagopal indicated that Swami said that we shouldn't run away from the worldly things. We have to balance it with the worldly. We have to make it the worldly things also. We have to see it as a spiritual thing. We have to move on hand in hand. So is that possible in one birth to go through all of these? That is my question I am having. Maybe it may not be discussed at this session. Maybe I'm thinking myself, whether it is feasible or practicable, or maybe our desire on this, we have to achieve this, the spiritual path to reach the goal, whether that is feasible or the achievable target for us. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, sister, you have asked a good question. I think, the Swami is providing answers, discussing that in the next chapter. So and if we start talking about it, it may become just our own, we may draw from everywhere. So it's a very good question, and Swami has not left this question unanswered. So that is coming in the next chapter. So I will hold that question for the time being, because otherwise everyone will have their own. Means we all may have our own opinions. This should not be a discussion of opinions. Because I know that it is coming up maybe a few more weeks. It won't be discussed just the way you said. It may not be able to achieve in this lifetime. This question also will have to wait for a few study circles. So
thank you. I know that it's a long path, and the patience and the vigilance are two important things. To achieve. Swami has already said in maybe in the previous study circle or in the other study circle, patience and the vigilance are two important things to achieve the spiritual target. So I will wait up until the time it comes. Thank you, Saira.
Saira, sister. But it's a good question. I think everyone should ponder over it. I think the question, even though we may not have the answer, it also, a question is a good one because it gives us a sense of urgency to pursue the path of sadhana without any delay. That we can do. I think from that perspective, it's a very good question. Sorry, I'm not taking it up for discussion this time.
Sairam, Sairam, for me, is understanding Anandi's question is a very hard part. As a joking, sometimes it's very hard to understand the question also, but she's saying answers and analyzing and everything. Sometimes it's hard to understand the question also. I think we may study more. And also, I think whatever Swami's teaching is, we learned about all these days, very simple way he explained. At least we practice. We go into the Sai centers and everything. We have to do the Visarana are we practicing that? When we practice that, at least Swami will be happy. I think Swami was worried how much he's teaching. We are learning like studying. Whatever we learn, at least every day, when we go out of this study circle, at least we practice one. That is enough for Swami, I think. Sairam.
Thank you very much.
Sairam, I just want to point out there, maybe that helps in the general, for the general understanding. If I am wrong, Brother Arno, so others can correct me. The last sentence, all margas are based on Vichara marga. Swami, I think Swami says that because whatever the philosophy, Advaita, Vishtadvaita, or Dvaita, or even other, any philosophy is based on the inquiry into those three things, that is the world, which we obviously see, and the one who sees the Jivatma and Paramatma. So all the philosophy is based on questions, answers to find out about these three things. So that's why. So if we, that's a general this thing. So the Advaita philosophy also based on that. So if we understand that general this thing helps to understand. I think if I am wrong, please correct me. I don't know.
Thank you very much, it's fine. It's nice. Thank you.
Brother, I don't know if I may, as you said, the word urgency for us to, to realize, or if this birth is okay. I'm just going to share what happened yesterday. As I was preparing a lesson plan on Sai Gita, and when I was listening how when Sai Gita left her body and Swami was there at the funeral, and one of the devotee who witnessed, he said that what a death that Bhagawan himself is there. She might have merged in Bhagawan and realized herself. Swami said, no, it's just her devotion brought to me to realize you have to take a human birth. It shook me, though I knew that. But when I heard again, only human being is the state where you can realize God, or read and understand about Atma. So I'm so happy to hear from you as well. It's an urgency. I mean, we don't know what will happen the next birth. It's so precious, this birth, that not even a second should pass by, not even love Bhagawan or think about him. So just to add a little bit when you said urgency. Sorry.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you.
I don't want to dwell on this particular subject, but to Sister Anandi's questions, that you just remember the subject we were studying about Parikshit. He was only left with 7 days, and then what did he went to these rishis, and he achieved liberation. That's how hard he put his effort to realize that part. And I have a question on this particular paragraph. Is Swami is talking about the sastras are based on akshara, meaning both letter and imperishable. What is that one really Swami is trying to tell us here? Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone would like to comment on what brother asked? It's a very nice question. Means we should understand each paragraph, each word as much as possible. So Swami has talked about Shastras. What exactly Swami means his question. So I will open it up for others to share your thoughts, please. Saira.
Sairam, Aksharam, in Tamil, Aksharam also meaning letters, Akshara, Sanskrit letters, and also not decaying, not Akshara means not Shara, not destructible. So Akshara is Brahman. So one meaning, Akshara is letter in a language, and another meaning is Brahman. So in that word shows the worldly education and the higher education, final thing. So that's why. So spiritual texts are based on. So if you take any spiritual text, let us take this Sandeha Nivarini. These are full of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, 26 letters. At the same time, this is teaching Akshara, the Varabrahman, about Varabrahman. So that is what it is mentioned here, to my knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Sairam, brother. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please? Okay, so maybe I will just comment on it. So the word Akshara, as Brother Shivadas has nicely explained, Kshara means that which is, that could be destroyed. Akshara means that does not have destruction. So that is, it can never perish. So the Akshara is, the sound in this world is considered the one which is actually indestructible. Sound. So that is why God is called Akshara Parabrahman. Means the God in the original sense is a sound. Sound is the only one which we as human beings can, the subtlest thing which we can all observe or experience is sound. And the sound, according to Swami, is never perish. Even though, we use, letter A, actually the letter A which we write is actually a representation of the sound A. So it is only, it just like Swami's form is showing us who God is. God is not the form, but it indicates or makes us understand and communicate with the divine. For that, we need a form. So the letter which we write is actually the representation of the sound A. So that our sound will never disappear. It will never be destroyed. The letters, how we write may change over time. The way we have A today is different. About 300, 400 years ago, the A was written differently. Maybe 2000 years ago, it was written differently. And in different languages, people have different ways to write it. But the letter, means the sound of that letter, is never perishes. And I think Swami says that sound has become the Vedas. They are the Shastras. So basically, he wants people to take up the study of the Shastras. And that's why, as Brother Sivadas said, any guru, whenever they are saying something, if that is not in tune with the Shastras, then that cannot be true. The true guru, when he speaks, he will always, his teachings will be aligned with the Shastras. So the Shastras is already revealed by God. So that is also sound, which we hear, Shruti. So I think those are some of the things. So basically, Swami says that's the curriculum, the Shastras, and we'll see, so much they have to study. Swami says, don't worry about how much is there, start studying. I think that's my understanding. Sorry, I will. If anyone has something to say, please share.
It's very good, brother. Very good sound. Because even the Om also, they are saying that Om has all A, U, M. So these three sounds, all other sounds are compressed in the three sound, because it is the mouth. It is start with three parts in the mouth. So within the three parts of the mouth, the starting, middle, and the end, all other sounds are emanating. So Om is the, Baba explained it, Om is Parabrahman. So, but other sounds are the variation of the Oms, So everything is good. What you said is very good, that even the Sabda Vedas were only heard, and only later on it was written. So everything came from sound. Yeah, very good. Thanks. Thank you.
Sairam. And also, that's why I think the concept of Nada Brahman is also considered the same thing. Yeah. And I think in the Bible also they say a word was at the beginning, the meaning sound. So I think that concept is understood.
Just a question. Why is sound considered indestructible or permanent? I guess just when you think about your everyday experience, you can feel like there's a beginning and an end to a sound.
Okay, good question, sister. I will, if does anyone has something to share, please?
It looks like when the whole world merges into the real, in the basic elemental form, which is Akasa actually. Out of the Panchabuddhas, Akasa is the first basic element, and from Akasa came one by one every other aspect. So when the whole world merges back into Akasa, and Akasa is resounding this word. Oh, it is resounding. It is eternally. It is going on. So when the universe emerges, takes birth, that sound is trapped in each of these item, and it is called vibration here. So some vibration we hear, but some vibration we can't hear, because higher and the lower we can hear. We can only hear the middle vibrations, frequencies. So everything is vibrating still. Everything is emanating the sound. So the sound is going on eternally. That's what I learned. I don't know. Other brother, can
I think I would like to add what Sudha said, that they say the anahata sound, which is coming from the heart, that if someone go into deep meditation, you can hear that. That's what it said. Yeah. And also Swami, that's why Swami always says Nama is much more powerful than Rupa. That Nama means, again, the sound, that concept. And as I said, the Panchabuddhas each has one quality. Earth has all five: smell, taste, all that, like that produces. And Akaya, the space, has only one sound. So that's the subtlest, as Brother Aruno mentioned before. So that one is imperishable in that sense, I think. Sairam.
Sairam, brother, Sairam. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please? So, okay, Sister Kalyani, it's a very good question. I think brothers have answered. So I will just give another angle to it. Om, we started with Nada Brahmam. Swami always used the word Shabda Brahmamayi, Characharamayi, Jyotirmayi, Vangmayi. I don't want to go into details, but the reality is, if you take Om, why does Swami make us all chant Om? Itself is, if you spend time on understanding Om, then the answer is answered. Because what happens in Om, there are four parts. A, U, and there is silence. The silence is called Anahata Nada, means that which is not struck. That sound exists as vibration in this world. It may not be audible to the ear, but it exists. So then you ask, how can it be? For example, if you take a bell, if the bell is just sitting in one place, there's no sound. But when you strike it, then the human ear can hear the sound. But in science, they will say there is vibration which is dormant, which is not at frequencies which is not audible to the ear. So in this world, actually, even if human ear or even any instrument cannot hear sound, the sound exists as vibration in this world. Even within an atom, there's an electron moving around. That movement actually causes vibration. It is just that then the vibration is at certain frequencies, the human ear can listen. Just because we stopped hearing the sound does not mean the sound died or vanished. It is the same thing like human life. We are born and we think we are the body. And then we think the person is dead. But the Atman exists even after we die. Just the way sound also exists after which we stopped hearing. So in this world, if scientists will say none of the atoms die, you really can't destroy the atom. Only thing you can do is if you blast the atom, it will generate energy. But again, the energy becomes so immense. Has the energy dissipated? No. It is just a transformation of matter into energy, but the vibration is still there. But it may not be audible to the ear. So this may understand. That is the whole concept of Omkaram. So Om actually consists of A, and then silence. So Swami insists that between two Omkarams, we should have silence and we should meditate on that. And that is that unmanifest Brahman, which actually is present everywhere in this world. So when the sound is, we talk about sound, we also talk about sound which is not audible to the human ear. I hope that answers. That is my understanding, but that's a completely separate discussion by itself. What is Pranava Nada?
Sairam, I would like to add to that. So just what brother said, that regarding Omkaram, the fourth syllable, it said Amatra Saduttaha, that means the fourth syllable is silent. And also the literal meaning of, please correct me if I'm wrong, literal meaning of the Anahata is unstruck sound. So there is a sound without even any, as brother said, even there is no vocal cords that vibrate or any instrument, even without, in the side, in a way, I think you can say in silence there is sound. So unstruck sound is the literal meaning of Anagata, I think. Brother, I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you're right, brother. Everything is fine. What are you saying?
He explained this one just now. Brother Aruna explained the same thing. Yeah, you went and heard it. Okay. Unstruck, yeah. Thank you.
So this sound and vibration that we're speaking of, is it equivalent to Brahman?
Yeah.
That is the Brahman which we can perceive, or we can meditate on as human beings, because that's the subtlest which we can relate to in this world. Beyond that, we can't, beyond that it's silence. So that's silence.
Like you said, it's what we can relate to in this world. So does that mean so that it is part of the world, as in it's part of the 5 elements and Maya?
That's the subtlest of all the elements. Just so that is why it's equated to Atman in this world. It's held synonymous with Atman. So that's why Pranava is called, it's one Akshara, Eka Akshara Brahman. Om itself is considered Brahman. Yeah. Okay, so that is Brahman. That's the Brahman which human beings can fathom. So that is why Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, the one who meditates on Pranava when they're dying will come and reach me.
Yeah.
So when that doesn't mean not the A, it should also include that silence. And that's why Swami has made us chant 21 Oms every day. It is why we start all the bhajans with 3 Oms. Just to know that, invoke that Brahman, which is embedded in that sound, and the silence which goes along with it. Silence.
Thank you.
Ramana Maharshi always insists of the, even his teaching, he said his teaching is always silence, though he said many other things at many other times. Brother Sivadas can correct me. So he insists on silence so much, and silence consists everything. And in Tamil also, we have that saying, Monam enbadu jnana varambu. That means the ultimate state of jnana is silence. Yeah, silent.
Thank you very much, brother. It's just, I don't know if it's a coincidence. So, Swami had quoted from Dakshinamurti Stotra a while ago, Vishwam Dakpana Drishnamana Nagare, Tulyam Nijantar Gatam, which is actually from work by Sri Adi Shankaracharya on Dakshinamurti. Okay, so Dakshinamurti is considered an avatar of or a manifestation of Shiva who taught the rishis through silence. The disciples all sat around him and he sat in silence, and then they just realized themselves. So the ultimate teaching of the Lord is through silence. That is on. So that is what. So that entire stotra is related to that. So I thought I would just mention that. Silence. Swami also. Sorry. Go ahead, sister.
Saira, we studied in Maunam. Maunam and silence are same? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Maunam and silence, yeah.
Yeah, Swami has already dealt with Maunam, and he talks about what is real Maunam.
Real, yeah.
Yeah, so Swami has that.
Swami has created a place for that, that Maunam, make that silent sitting, that Jnana Vriksha, there's that place, go and sit in there and meditate. Swami create a place there.
Yeah.
Still is going on that. A lot of people getting benefit out of that.
And Swami says, only in the depth of silence, the voice of God can be heard.
Yeah.
So that's the mental, mentally we should be silent.
That's the reason that all those days that people are going to in the forest and sitting there because there's no disturbance there. So that's the meaning, I guess.
Silent. Shall we move on and read the next pair? 15 minutes.
Bhakta, but there are some who attain samadhi. Will they have all this inquiry, etc. in samadhi? Swami, wonderful fellow, how can there be inquiry in samadhi? When you sleep soundly, do you have any thoughts about the world around you? This is also like that. Bhakta, there will be no manas in samadhi, isn't it? Swami, the manas that persists in sleep will be there also. Bhakta, they talk of a Turiya stage, a beyond stage, in samadhi. What is that, Swami? Swami, beyond the waking, the dreaming, and the deep sleep stages.
Okay, so I'll just, we talked about Om and we should so Swami says, the Bhakta is asking, in Samadhi will there be mind? And Swami says, the mind which persists in deep sleep is present. But there's no vichara, there is no inquiry, there's no mental activity, there's no action. And then subsequently the question about Turiya stage is brought up by the Bhakta, because waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the stage which is the next stage is called Turiya. So, I don't know, it's coincidence or what. In Mandukya Upanishad, which discusses Om, that entire Upanishad is about Omkara. A is considered the waking stage. U is considered the dream stage. The is considered the deep sleep stage. And the silence is considered the fourth stage, or the Turiya stage, which is beyond all of them. So Swami is just introducing those concepts for us so we understand them. So I will stop here and I will open it up for some discussion or anyone to share it.
Sairam, brother, the Turiya stage, what is that? We have to discuss little more to understand that part, please. Thanks.
Yes, sister. Okay. I don't know whether we will complete today, but yes, I think I will open it up for discussion, please, Saira.
The last answer, Bhagawan said it, beyond the waking, the dreaming, and the deep sleep stages. So we can't explain it. Only we know this is not within these three stages. It is beyond. So because we are not attained to that, we cannot explain it about. Baba here saying is, The mind is there, silent, subsided, like in the sleep. So when the regular samadhi is over, the jnani comes back, yogi or jnani comes back to the world with a mind which was hidden there. Now he will use it and move in the world. Of course, in the Mahasamadhi, the final stage, the mind should have been destroyed. Otherwise, it cannot be a Mahasamadhi or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So that's what I feel to say. Thank you, Sarah.
I think that the silence is the fourth state. So that itself says you cannot explain it. You can only experience if you come to that state. So now, since sister asked, I don't think any one of us can explain more than that. It's so that is.
Saira, we studied before the samadhi when the mind merges with the divine, then we move as a samadhi, right? Like that. What's the Duriya stage? How that is? What is it? Just to Swami has brought that word, right? So
yeah.
So that's the only thing. Thank you, Saira.
So
Sairam, Sairam, when Swami left the body, I would like to know what's the state Swami left. Like we don't see like some jnanis when they left the body, like they can go the samadhi stage. We can see in eyes also. I would like to know what kind of way he exits the body, Sairam.
So, brother, I like to go through the Duriya stage, that beyond stage. We studied before that waking and dreaming and deep sleep. And the deep sleep, we don't have the mind. So that time, we feel like we just enjoyed the sleep because there's no mind. So that also coming a little bit later, after we woke up from the sleep only, we are experiencing that one. We had good time and no disturbance, nothing. But through your stage, when waking time, when we realize that one, when you are in meditate time, you are not sleep, you are not a deep sleep, but you are experience the bliss that time. That is my understanding is through your stage. Whatever, brother, you said, the fourth stage, the silence. When the silent stage, you will hear God's voice. So, in order to come to the Duriya stage, you have to experience while you are waking stage. That's my understanding, brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else have anything to share?
Sarah, the Duriya state is that there's no activities for the senses. This is above the senses, no, that we are in that samadhi stage, that no senses are activating there, that's all in silent, no, that above the senses, that samadhi state, and is merged with God at the time. So yes, thank you, sir.
Sairam. Anyone else?
Sairam, can it be a blissful state, like a fourth state beyond three consciousness, states of consciousness? Is a bliss, Ananda?
Okay, brothers, thank you.
Thank you.
There are some comments from Brother Sitaram.
Okay, please read.
The first one I think was from earlier. Sairam, as Manava, human being, if we are not developing and exercising Vicharana and Vichakshana power we are endowed with, we are no different from animals. While being thankful for having human life, we must also uphold the above mentioned quality and march towards our goal in this very life. The rest is His grace. And now, When one becomes Jivan Mukta, realized, the oneness with everything, that can be called as Turiya or fourth stage.
Thank you, sister. So it's, I think, we as someone has already mentioned, unless we are in Turiya stage, it's very difficult for us to even explain. But I think from what Swami has said, we can see that the one who has attained Samadhi, who is in a state of Samadhi, is always in the state of Turiya. He does not come to, he does not even differentiate between waking, dreaming, and deep sleep because he's in that state at all times. Whereas a person who has not come to that stage, for them, they are only going back between these three stages, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, again coming back to waking, dreaming, and sleep. Because in all these three, they still really don't know who they are. And from what I can see, once you understand that you are the Atman, even if you are awake, even if you are dreaming or you are deep sleep, you don't get caught in those states. You are still completely aware of your state of Atman. At the physical level, even if they are sleeping, the jnani who has attained that stage of identification with the body, identification with Atman, will never be sleeping. The body will be resting. Even if you see the jnani's body sleeping, the jnani is actually awake. He is awake to his Atmic state, whereas we just lie down and sleep. Because the three stages, three of them relate to the three gunas also. Tamasic, Rajasic, and Sattvic. Because that is why we go through these stages. But the one who has gone beyond those gunas, who has realized that they are Brahman, they are ever in this Turiya stage. And they are in Samadhi. And they don't have to do Vicharana because when you're not caught between Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, there's nothing to inquire because you have reached the stage. And they may also go around in their body. We may see their body lying down and waking up, but they are not affected because they are ever in that state. This is my understanding, which is called Jivan Mukta state, because they are not bound by the waking or dreaming stages. So that's my understanding, but does anyone have any questions? So I think Swami is discussing this a little further, the next question and answers also, but I will open it up because if the mind is at work, then we have not reached Samadhi. So that's all I would say. I will open it up for any other comments, please, Saira, before we wind up.
What a beautiful stage to be at.
Saira.
So, Sairam brother, so Samadhi state, whatever you mentioned, that fully full Sampurna Jnani, there's no difference between Parabrahma and that stage. He is merged with that, the Parabrahma. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Swami has also mentioned, at the second pair of questions, the manas that persist in sleep will there be also. So the thing is, for a jnani, the manas which he has is like the manas which is in deep sleep. In deep sleep, actually, the mind is at rest. But the mind exists in this world, but it's completely at rest. As Swami says, even a jnani who has reached Samadhi will have a mind which is equivalent to the mind which is in sleep. The only difference is the jnani is aware of that. Whereas when we go to deep sleep, we are not aware of the mind being there or not. We are unaware of who we are. But jnani who has reached the stage of Samadhi is ever in a state of Samadhi. Mind is always at rest and peace.
One minute regarding Swami's last day a sister was asking that actually we cannot comment on that because he's avatar and he is not a human being he was not a human being like us, to go to samadhi and leave the body. So he, in the way he came and he left, that's it. That's what we can say about that. But thank you, Sairam. That's what I feel. Because it was not answered, so I just tried.
Thank you very much.
Sairam, Brother Sivada. Some people ask me, that's what I have asked you. This study circle. Thank you for the answer.
Sairam, Swami was in that human body that time. Now he's everywhere. He's still living among us. Now he's listening our conversation too. We feel like that because Swami is everywhere right now. He never died. And he never died.
Sairam, brother, even before, when he was in the body, also he was everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah,
but it was limited in that. It was limited in the body, but he can go anywhere he wants.
Yeah.
He was not, brother. He was not limited. The thing is, the only reason is that it was allowed. It was for us to communicate and understand what he says. I don't think he was limited because there is that tendency people to think that he was limited by the body. He absolutely was not limited.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, brother. That for our human eyes, that we can see that Swami is in that. No, that's why I meant that.
Yes.
But Swami was everywhere. He went to London, England, London, America. Everywhere he went in his form. No.
Yeah, that's right.
So he was everywhere. That this not limited in his body. That's true. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's about 10:17. I think there's a lot for us to contemplate, think, ponder over, and so on. And I think Swami is still discussing this a little further in the next question and answers. So we will leave it there for today. We'll close with Samstaloka and Shanti. And we will come back next week to this topic again. Okay, Sairam, everyone.
Yeah.
Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam, everyone.